Hey guys, this is Professor Roldan again with Explorations in Math. We're going to be talking about 10.4 today. This is installment buying, including buying a home. So this is about making monthly payments towards a loan for purchasing a product when you don't really have the money up front. Okay, so the only way to avoid this is to really save up and pay for things cash. One of the things that you're probably very most likely not going to have money saved up for is a house. Okay, so we will get to mortgages towards the end of our study here, which is really part of 10.5, but it's pretty much the same process. It's just bigger numbers. All right, so let's get started with 10.4. Fixed loans versus open-end installment loans. So first of all, fixed installment loans basically are payments are made for a fixed amount of time for a set amount of payments, okay? So payments are made for a fixed amount of time. Let's say a year, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, things like that, for a set number of payments. Okay. So, I've been to Home Depot, and if you want to buy stuff there, big project stuff like that, 6 months, they'll give you a lot of store credit cards or store credit. 6 months usually is the case. Best Buy, I've seen that. Okay. Apple, I know they do promotions for 24 months. You can also lease a car for 36 months or car loan, stuff like that. 4 years, 5 years, etc. Okay. Now, open-end installment loan, and basically when the term is up, you've paid up your debt and you're done. But an open-end installment loan, variable payments, you could, just depending on your balance. So variable payments are made, okay? Usually they come with a minimum payment, like $15, $20. But you never want to pay the minimum. You always want to pay much more than the minimum, okay? And now credit card statements will come with little examples. If you just pay the minimum, tells you how many years. Usually 5 to 7 years if you just pay off the minimum balance. Okay. So variable payments are more dangerous. You need more discipline. At least with fixed installment loans, the amount of time has been determined, and basically you just commit to that amount of time, and when you know the end is near. With credit cards, this really can last you your whole lifetime, and so something to be very careful about. So Congress in 1968 came out with the Truth in Lending Act. Okay, so it's an act of Congress that makes lenders disclose 2 things. Okay, so lenders must disclose and the word disclose means to show you, okay, before you commit to and you sign on a dotted line there. And once you sign, you have legally bound yourself to whatever is in that document for that lending purpose. So Truth in Lending Act of 1968, basically they have to tell you two things: the APR and the total finance charge. Okay, so the APR is basically the annual percentage rate. Okay, and basically that is what is the true rate of interest charged. Okay, and this is to save consumers from actually doing the calculation. Okay, so they should have that in their documentation, what the interest rate is. And the second thing would be the finance charge, and this is going to be the total amount of money the borrower must pay. And we talked about this before in 10.2 is the cost of borrowing. Pay for borrowing. Oops. Okay. So you should be, when you sign the documentation, you're agreeing to the interest rate and the total extra that you're going to pay for basically coming home with a product without actually paying for it. Okay, and this actually pretty much goes against a lot of the financial advice, is that you want to save up money, and that's the problem. We just, as a culture, we don't save up money. Okay, so this the total installment price. Total installment price is going to be the sum of all monthly payments. So if they tell you, hey, you're going to pay $50 a month for 5 years, for example, then you just do 50 times 60 months. And then if you were required to put a down payment, you want to add that in there as well. That's basically your total out-of-pocket costs for making this purchase. Okay, it's a total installment price. Okay, so it's all your payments plus your down payment. Okay, now the monthly installment payment, this is one of the formulas that I'm gonna be providing on the test. Okay, so the installment price is not something that's necessarily going to be a formula on the test, but the monthly installment payment, I call this the small formula. Okay, so it's basically the purchase price. Okay, how much are you paying for it? Plus, if you're going to borrow money against, make installment payments and all that, you can do that at a fee. It's a cost of borrowing called the total finance charge. Okay, so you add those two up and you want to just divide by the number of payments that you have to make, whether it's 1 year, 5 years, etc. Okay, this is the small formula. But the problem with the small formula is, even though it's nice and small, it takes a while to find this right here. Okay, so this requires 3 steps that I have outlined below. Okay, and this you do have to memorize. So how do we find this finance charge? Well, it's not simply just multiplying an interest rate times an amount, because you are making payments that's reducing the amount borrowed. So you don't have one fixed amount borrowed for the whole entire time. You're actually making payments reducing that. And so it changes every single month. So there's a calculation made that compensates for all that time and things like that. So there is a table that's in the textbook, okay, that will be on the test, okay, and it's called table 10.2, okay, and again, this table will be provided, and any formulas, okay. So this is called I call it method 1, because you use the small formula for the monthly installments. But like I said, the total finance charge, you have to go through these 3 steps. Okay. So hopefully you find it intuitive and use the small formula. If not, you will see in a few minutes the big formula. Okay. Which is a little intimidating and plenty of opportunities to make mistakes. Okay, well, let's go ahead and go through this. So we have use the table, this is page 593, to find the finance charge per 100. Okay, then once you know that, how many hundreds are you borrowing? We'll just divide by 100, and then those 2 answers we're going to multiply. Okay, so use the table, divide by 100, multiply those 2, and that'll give you the total finance charge. Okay, so we're going to do an example in a few minutes here. Okay. All right, so real quick, what does this table look like? Looks like this. Okay, so where you have the APR right here. You have the number of payments right here. Okay, so down here, you're finding the finance charge per 100 of amount financed. Okay, so a quick example is if I'm borrowing money, I'm getting charged interest 5% for 36 months, that's 3 years. Then every $100 that I borrow, if you look, okay, it's $7.90. So if I borrow, let's say $1,000, then basically, how many hundreds am I borrowing? I'm borrowing 10 hundreds. So if I'm borrowing $1,000 or 10 hundreds, those 10 hundreds are going to multiply by that 7.90. Okay. So total finance charge for a $1,000 loan for 3 years at 5% is $79. Okay, so remember, this is not 7.90 times 1,000. Okay, it's not per dollar, it's per $100. Okay, so these circled here are from the textbook examples. Okay, so those are just circled for your convenience as you read some of the examples in the textbook. So let me just point that out here. Textbook examples. Okay, but really you could be looking at anywhere in this chart depending on the situation. Okay, so let's take a look at our first example. Page 602, number 12. Okay, so it says this is about a new air conditioner. Juan paid $7,000 for a new central air conditioning unit for his house. He paid 20% as a down payment and financed the balance with a 36-month fixed installment loan with an APR of 5%. Okay, so let's write down some of the details here. So we have a $7,000 AC units. We have 20% down payment. And the balance the loan balance is going to be borrowed at 5% for 36 months. That's 3 years. Okay, so first of all, let's go and see how much money did he put down up front so that he didn't have to borrow the whole $7,000. So this is 0.20 times 7,000, and that's going to equal $1,400. Okay. So if that equals $1,400, that's how much money he put up front. He doesn't have to borrow the whole $7,000. This is going to reduce his loan payments, his monthly payment, and the total interest he's going to pay. So the bigger down payment that you can put, the better. So this loan balance then is going to be $7,000 minus the $1,400, and that's going to equal $5,600. Okay, so this is the amount he's borrowing for 5% for 3 years. Now, let's calculate. So we want to use this small equation or a small formula. We have the purchase price is $5,600. Okay, but we have to calculate this using our 3 steps. So the finance charge, you have to use the table. Okay, so table 10.2. Okay, so if you look at 5%, basically the same thing we just saw earlier at 36 months. Okay, you're going to see the number $7.90 per 100. Okay, finance. Okay, so we know how much money we're going to be paying per $100. So now we have to figure out, all right, how many hundreds of dollars am I actually or is Juan borrowing? So we know we're financing $5,600, not the whole amount. There was a down payment involved. And if you divide that by 100, that tells you how many hundreds you have. Well, I just said it, 5,600. Right, that's what the number's called. So, sorry. So, 56 hundreds. Okay. So, 56 hundredths times $7.90. So, step 3 is basically multiply step 1 and step 2. So basically 56 hundredths times 790. and that's going to equal $442.40. Okay. So that is actually the answer to A, letter A. Letter A is asking for Juan's finance charge. So $5,600, borrowing that at 5% for 3 years, he's going to have to pay this amount extra, okay, in addition to the price of the AC unit. Now, letter B says, okay, what's Juan's monthly payment? Well, again, we go back to our small formula. Monthly payment is going to be, what is his purchase price plus his finance charge divided by the number of payments. Okay, so forget about the $7,000. He's reduced that amount by $1,400. It's $5,600. So basically, step B, monthly payments are going to be $5,600. Okay, that's how much he's borrowing, with a finance charge of $4,240. You add that up and you divide by 36. Okay, that's going to be 42.40 divided by 36, and that's going to equal $167.84 per month. Okay. So this is using the small formula, which takes a little 3-step process to find that total financials. I really believe that is worth knowing how to do. Okay. Okay, so what's the alternative for this small formula? Your alternative is a big formula for the monthly payment, monthly installment payments. Okay, so this is on page 594. And it looks like this. M for monthly payments is going to equal the principal times the rate over how many payments you're making per year divided by 1 minus 1 plus the rates over the amount of payments per year, all raised to the negative n times t. Okay, this is the big formula. And you're welcome to use it, but use it at your own risk. Plenty of opportunities to make mistakes as you type this into your calculator. So we're going to go ahead and do, actually, so let me just point out that the N is payments per year. So if you're making monthly payments, that's always going to be 12. Okay? So monthly equals 12. 12 payments in a year. So then T, for our example, T is going to be 3 years. Okay? The life of the loan. 36 months would be 3 years. So we're going to plug everything in and see if we get the same thing we have gotten through the small formula. So 5,600 times 0.05 divided by 12 payments in a year, all divided by 1 minus 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12, all raised to the negative 12 times 3 for 3 years. Okay, so if you type all this in, let me just go work down here. This is going to equal, the top part is going to equal 7.7778. Actually, I'm rounding, so this is going to mess up our payments. So I would write down as many sevens as you possibly can, as long as your screen fits. Whatever fits in your screen, I would write it down. And then 1 minus point. Okay, sorry. I was not copying down the right number. This is supposed to be 23. So 23 point, as many threes as you possibly can. Whatever fits on your screen. The more threes you put, the more accurate your number is going to be. Especially when you're dealing with MyMathLab and it wants it exact. So then the other part, so this is going to be, 1.0041666. Okay, so this goes on forever. Raised to the negative 36 power. Okay, so hopefully you learn how to put this on your calculator all at once, and you won't have to do all this. So 1.0041666, we're going to go ahead and raise that to the negative 36 power. And that's going to be 0.86097,624, etc., etc. And then so finally we're going to get 23.333 divided by 0.13902,376. So I'm just typing in numbers as much as I can. 0.13902376, and I get 167.837, which that basically rounds to 167.84. Okay, so this matches what we got in using the small formula. Okay, so I highly recommend you use the small formula as a simple arithmetic. No need for this big formula here, but it's your preference. But remember, if you're going to do the big formula, do it at your own risk, and we'll just go from there. So let's talk about the next example. All right, the next set of problems that you're going to get will be going in reverse to find the APR. So determining the APR is basically reversing the process. Okay? This time we start with the monthly payment, and we need to work backwards to find the APR using the chart. Okay, so we have 3 steps. So step 1, find the total finance charge of a loan. Here's the formula for that. Okay, I will be providing this on the test. Step 2, find the finance charge per 100 of the amount financed. And there's another formula for that. And then step 3 is something you just have to know how to do using the table. Okay? So let's take a look at an example in the books, page 602, number 14. So number 14, this is about financing a computer. So I think it's Aiga purchased a new computer on a monthly purchase plan. The computer sold for $14.95. That kind of sounds like an Apple, a Mac. Aiga paid 5% down and $64 a month for 24 months. Again, Apple does a lot of 24 months promotions. What finance charge did Aiga pay? What is the APR to the nearest 0.5%? Okay, so first let's get the given information down. So we have $14.95 computer. Okay, 5% down payment. Okay, which we can go ahead and calculate. 5% of the $14.95. Oops. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. That's going to be $74.75. So the rest, she paid $64 per month for 24 months. Okay. Now here, how much is she actually paying? So $64 a month for 24 months or 2 years. That's going to equal $15.36. Okay. Now, step 1 to find the APR is to calculate the total finance charge. So the formula says total finance charge is going to equal her down payment plus her total monthly payments, which we calculated as $15.36, minus the purchase price or selling price, which is $14.95. So we put this all in your calculator. You're going to get $115.75. This is the total finance charge. This is what she's paying extra for not paying all that one, not paying cash. Okay, you take home a product without paying cash, this is what you have to deal with. Okay, this is the cost of borrowing. Step 2, this is the finance charge per 100. So the finance charge per $100, we're going to take right there, the formula is right there visible on our screen, is the total finance charge. That's $115.75 divided by the purchase price. The purchase price is $14.95. Okay, minus the down payments. Times 100, sorry. Okay. So if you're going to put that in your calculator, make sure you put parentheses around these. If not, it's going to be wrong. Okay. Got to learn how to use your calculator the right way. So this is going to give us 115. So I recommend doing it one step at a time. So subtract the bottom and write it down. And then divide those two numbers, multiply by 100, and you're going to get $8.15 per 100. Okay? So $8.15, that is a number that comes from the table. So we need to go to the table in step 3 to find this number. Okay, so step 3 is to go to 24 months. First of all, go to 24 months. Then go to $8.50, or at least the closest number to that. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to that now. So, okay, so what we're looking for is 24 months. So there's my 24 months. Well, now we're going to go across here and look for $8.15. And we have it. Well, the closest one would be this one right here. $8 would be closest to $8.15. So $8.15 is pretty close to that. It's closer than it is to $8.54. Therefore, this is just a quick estimation. So we go up, and there's our APR right there. 7.5%. So therefore, the interest rate, 7.5%, is the closest. Okay. So again, step 1, use that formula, down payment plus total monthly payments minus selling price. Step 2, use the other formula to find the finance charge per 100. And once you know that number, you're going to look for it in the proper row. Okay, and for our row, it was 24 months. All right, let's go to the last thing, which will be the last objective, which would be to calculate your mortgage payment for a home. All right, guys, so now we've reached our last example, which is the monthly installment payments for a home loan, which is basically called a mortgage. Okay, mortgage payments, principal and interest only. This is not going to count. So the principal, that's your loan balance, and interest only. not including taxes and insurance, okay, which are additional costs. So this is going to depend, this right here will depend on the state that you live in, or the county that you live in, the insurance company that you get, how much coverage you get, what's your deductible, all that stuff. So there's a lot of variables in those other two parts. So when you look at these numbers, you always need to calculate another $300-400 more per month, just to cover your taxes and insurance, okay, just as budgeting purposes. But for this exercise, we are just going to calculate, and there are 3 simple steps, although it doesn't sound like it. 3 simple steps for calculating a mortgage payment, okay? We are going to use a different table. So first of all, let's take a look at page 610. I'm sorry, page 615, number 14. It says buying a first house. So the firsts are purchasing their first home for $199,900. Okay, basically $200,000. They are obtaining an FHA mortgage. That's Federal Housing Administration. It's basically a government-backed mortgage loan through their credit union, and are required to make a 3% down payment. They obtain a 30-year mortgage with an interest rate of 4.5%. All right, so let's get all this down in our given information here. Okay, so the home costs this much. They have to pay 3% down payment. Okay, so we can go ahead and calculate what that is. That's going to be 3% times $199,900. That's going to be $5,997. Okay, that's the bank will not complete the loan process if they don't have almost $6,000 at the closing table. Okay, just the loan will not go through. So 30 years, 30-year mortgage loan. Let me just do this. Okay, at 4.5% interest. Okay, so let's go ahead and calculate. Actually, what we have just done, which we did in the last example, A was, what's the down payment? What's the down payment? So the down payment we already calculated as 3% of the price of the home, which we already knew, we already calculated as $500,997. Okay. Letter B is determine the amount of the mortgage. Okay. So what's the mortgage loan amount? Well, that's just the price of the home minus your down payment. Okay, because you're not going to finance the whole thing. This is not a zero down loan. That would be a very special deal. Usually with veterans, they have that program. Okay, so that's going to be $193,903. Okay, so that's the down payment. That's the amount financed. Okay, so the last one is, okay, what is basically going to be your monthly payments? Okay, so there's 3 steps for the monthly payment. First, so step 1, finance charge per 1,000 this time, because we have lots of hundreds in here. So there's another table, table 10.4 on page 610, that basically goes through per 1,000 instead of per 100. Okay, since these are big amounts. So the finance charge per 100, or 1,000, sorry. Okay, we got to go to the table for that. So here's the table on page 610. So if we go back to the given information, we are at, let's go back. This is a 30-year loan, 4.5% interest. So the intersection is this part right there. 5.06685. So that's what we need to write down over here for step 1. This is from the table. Which will be on the test as well. And that is going to be 5.06885. Okay. Step 2. Step 2 is going to be how many? Okay, so how many thousands are we borrowing? So it's the amount you're financing divided by 1,000. It's going to tell you how many thousands. Because remember, this is per 1,000. So just basically move the decimal 3 places to the left. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then, just like in the previous procedure, or in the first example, all you gotta do is multiply step 1 and 2. Okay, so that's basically gonna be 5.06885 times 193.903, and that's going to give us $982.48 per month. Okay, so you may be thinking, wow, that's pretty good for a $200,000 house. Sounds like it's kind of big. At least here in Florida, you can get a good size house, maybe 2,000 square feet or so, 4-bedroom, 2 or 3 bath. Okay, but this is not what you're going to pay per month. This is only to satisfy the bank. But the bank is also going to want, as far as the loan is concerned, the bank is also going to want, you're going to have to add your insurance. They will make you protect the home from different things that can damage the home. Okay. And of course, the government is going to want taxes. You're going to pay taxes based on the square footage and your value of the home or whatnot. and that'll help pay for schools and school buses and all that stuff, and teacher salaries and all that. So anyways, that's basically a simple 3-step procedure similar to the first example. Okay, use the table to get that number, divide by 1,000, multiply your two results, and you're going to get the monthly payment. All right, that's it for 10.4. And if you have any questions, let me know, and work through your assignment and your quiz online, and we'll talk more about this in class. All right, see you in the next video.